Welcome, friends. Today we'll discuss key events which impacts the stock market and overall economy of our country. In this connection, we will first thing see the monetary policy. Monetary policy is announced by central bank of every country. India's central bank is RBI, Reserve Bank of India. For USA or United States of America, it is Federal Bank. So let us see all this one by one. So first thing is monetary policy. There are two main components of a monetary policy. One is inflation and second is growth. RBI has been mandated to maintain inflation at 4% plus minus 2%. That means maximum it should go to 6% and minimum it should be 2%. So it can fluctuate between 2 to 6. Another thing is growth rate. Every country wants growth. So they maintain balancing these two things. RBI maintains balancing these two things. So how they maintain? If inflation is more, they will increase interest rate. Once the rate of interest increases, it will be difficult for corporates and consumers to take more loan. They will have to pay more. So ultimately, what will happen? They will take less loan, or even if they are able to take loan, they have to pay more on interest charge. So they have less money to for expense for other discretionary items for other things. So ultimately, what will happen? This will lead to less consumption. As less consumption, growth will be less. So if growth rate is reduced more, then again RBI have to reduce rate so that corporate can take more loan. There should be more credit growth, and consumer can take more loan. And once they are having capacity to take more credit, they will spend more. And once expenses happening more, of course, there will be more activity, more consumption, and there will be more growth. So they need to balance. If inflation is too much, then again there will be problem. If inflation is very less, then of course growth will be better. But it goes invariably, and RBI have to balance this too. So how they balance? What are the tools? So they have first tool is repo rate. Repo rate is rate on which bank lends a loan from RBI. So right now, this rate is 6.25%. So if any bank want to take loan from RBI, they will have to give this much amount, 6.25% of interest. Just opposite of that is reverse repo rate. If RBI wants to take loan to give to other bank or for government of India expenses or for anything, so they will take loan from banks and the interest chart for this is reverse repo rate. Right now in India, it is 3.35%. Of course, bank rate is 6.5% and marginal standing facility rate is 6.5%. Another thing is cash reserve ratio. By this increasing and decreasing cash flow in system or credit growth is maintained by RBI. Right now, CRR ratio or cash reserve ratio is 4.5%. This is the amount every bank has to maintain with RBI. So now, at present, every bank have to maintain cash reserve ratio with RBI is 4.5%. Another one thing is SLR or statutory liquidity ratio. This is 18% right now. Every bank has to maintain 18% right now with their own account. Minimum liquidity is required 18%. Below that, they cannot. So that much money they will have to have with them. Another 4.5% will be with RBI. So total 22.5% they will have to balance. Then whatever rest money is, that can be lended to corporates or RBI. So by this balancing, increasing and decreasing of a rate, credit growth or credit is maintained, liquidity is maintained in the system, and accordingly, this growth or we can say consumption is managed by RBI. Now, another term is inflation. This is very much important. As I already told you, the RBI mandated with inflation to be targeted 4% plus minus 2%. If inflation increases, it is creating trouble in the system. Poor people will not be able to purchase. For example, right now, for 1 kg of potato or 1 year, if you are paying 25, and then it increases to 35, 40, or 50. That means inflation is increasing, and it will be difficult for people to purchase same amount of quantity. So consumption will be less because whatever the amount they have that is fixed, it is not increasing. But cost of material, cost of services is increased, so they will not able to consume. So it will ultimately affect the growth. So inflation must be within certain range. Of course, there will be some inflation, but it should be moderate range only. And how RBI measures this? There are two tools with them, or we can say index. One is wholesale price index, WPI, and another is consumer price index, CPI. So what is wholesale price index? Whatever service, whatever is consumer goods are sold in the market, the wholesale price, that means from institutions to institution, agency to agency, this wholesale market price of these materials are aggregated, surveyed, and this index is known as wholesale price. But another important thing is consumer price. Maybe wholesale price is not increasing much, but ultimately it affects consumer on which price consumer is able to avail that services or goods or materials. So CPI is also more important. So RBI survey and maintains every month this CPI and WPI. Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation MOSPI maintains this data, and every month they announces this both of this data, how much is WPI and how much is CPI. Another one term is the Index of Industrial Production. If IIP or Index of Industrial Production increases, that shows that industrial activity has increased and it is good for economy, it is good for a country. So there are more than 15 major industrial sector, and every sector is surveyed, and MOSPI maintains data of how this IIP is increasing or decreasing, how it is. And every month, this is also announced, and it is also a major indicator of our economy. Another one thing is Purchasing Managers Index or PMI. So it is a economic indicator which tries to capture the business activity across the services and production. So both is surveyed separately and then collated one place, and then it is published. So it is a wonderful economic indicator which provides through survey, of course, how much new orders is coming, what is the output, what is the business expansion probability, how much is business expanding, what is the employment rate. It is generally oscillates around 50. If it is more than 50, then business sentiment is good. It is expansionist. It is increasing. If it is less than 50, then it is negative. It is not so good. That is why it is less. If it is 50, that means neutral, neither growth, neither any, we can say, contraction. Another one important key event is budget. Every year on 1st February, it is announced by government or presented by Finance Minister of India. Earlier, it was 28th February, but now changed to 1st February, 11 o'clock. Right? So, budget gives overall expense cash flow to how the government of India wants to collect money, get this revenue. Of course, the quick taxes rate and how much they are expected to get revenue, total revenue, and how much they are expected to expense. They will have some key policy decisions through which government of India announces what will be the focus area, and accordingly industrial growth or infrastructure growth happens. Now we have seen so many PLI schemes are coming, and that affects new sectors of our industrial growth is happening there. So budget is very important thing. It is one of the most key event which affects overall economy and well-being of citizens. Another things which impacts a stock market is corporate earnings. So every corporate entity which are listed on exchanges, they are supposed to announce their earnings every quarter. First quarter is of course from April to June, and that results come in July. Second quarter is July August, September, and those results comes in October. Third quarter is October to December, and that results comes in January. Of course, the last quarter is January to March, and that results come in April. So this corporate earnings announcement, they announces these four, five things. First thing, how much is revenue? What are the revenue expenses? What are their expenses? Whether this new capex or operation expenses, whatever all, they will give this direction and these details. How much they are expected to pay or paying this taxes and interest, how much is profitability, and what is the corporate guidance. That means what are the expectations from future, how company will increase their revenue, expenses, of course, this profitability, what are the guidance for future. So all is announced there, and that affects that very share, how they are going to perform in coming days. Every quarter, Infosys announces their results. Infosys are very consistent. In the first week itself, they are announcing, and everybody sees this, how they are, and that gives an idea for other IT sector also, how they will perform, and accordingly price moves. So these are the key events which impacts markets and shares. If you find some value, please like and share with your colleagues and friends so that they can also get benefited. Please do write if you want any topic to be covered so that I can cover in coming videos. Thank you. Bye bye.